Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Azeroth Daily for the 27th of January 2011. My name is TotalBiscuit, bringing you your daily dose of WoW news and comment. In the headlines today, the latest round of hotfixes is out for you to peruse. The link to all of them is in the description below this video. The one I'd like to highlight is the fact that Alakia 25 Heroic has been nerfed a couple of days after it was killed, and one day after a statement by Paragon saying they hope it won't be. Oh dear. Well, at least we now know that Blizzard is not, in fact, at the behest of Paragon, which a lot of people do seem to misguidedly believe. Blizzard US has announced the winners of their comic contest, which consists of 3 comics, one of which is StarCraft related, so I can't really show you that one. It's awesome anyway, you should go check it out. Link in the description below this video. You see the 2 up on the screen right now. 2 winners here. I think, honestly, if I've got to like any of them, it's got to be the Varian Rin one. I think that's absolutely fantastic. You can go check them out in full in the description below. And also, the Blizzard Art Gallery has been updated with 4 new pieces from the Burning Crusade. And my favorite has got to be the one that's up on the screen right now. Absolutely fantastic. It's TBC, so it must be purple. Oh yes, that's the way it goes. And with that, it's time for your Daily Blues. A post from Takralis right here indicating a useful compilation of informative threads on the subject of PvP. I would recommend that you check that out, and there's a wide variety of information there, mostly guides, so it's definitely worth having a look at if you're interested in PvP. Ock raises a question on the subject of bank space and asks whether or not we'll be getting any more of it. Rixian replies that he's not aware of any current plans to increase the bag slots, and the only thing that comes to mind is pretty much what other players have pointed out: use bigger bags. He also points out that in patch 4.0.6, the illusionary bag is being increased in size to 26 slots, which may be useful. And what I would honestly nominate as the worst post of the year. Obviously, the year hasn't really got kicked off yet, but it's going to be hard to top this one from Backstrom of the Molten Core swim team. And he goes on to complain simply about the way that the Blues are acting. And says, "How dare you speak against those who pay your check? Show some respect." Blah, 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 blah. God. Entitled little crybabies. Seriously, this is an incredibly offensive post, and please let me point out to everybody that this dude does not represent the opinions of the general WoW population. God, I am offended just to read it. My eyes are offended because they're absorbing the information. The mere inkling of the fact that someone could actually think this way makes my blood boil. Indeed, I challenge you to read it and not feel annoyed or irritated by the fact that this guy believes he's speaking for the community. Hell yes, the Blues should just work for free. What the hell are you talking about? You know, of course, fun is important, but at the end of the day, they are also getting paid to do a job, and your opinion doesn't really matter all that much. I pay $15 a month, congratulations, like everybody freaking else. Why is your opinion suddenly more important than anybody else's? What did you do for the community? What have you done to improve the game at any point in time? The answer is nothing, isn't it? Consider that a call out to Backstrom on the Altar of Storms server on the US, and indeed the thread is locked with the message that this thread genuinely made me sad. That's from Zahim, and I don't really blame him because it is absolutely disgusting. God. That person should not only be banned from the forums, but banned from life in general. We really do not need people like that breathing the same air that we do. Ugh, I feel polluted by it. And with that, it's time for your daily grind. This is part of the Lunk series. We're going to do the whole series. I think it's over in the Searing Gorge. It starts over near the Thorium Advance. You should see it at a little camp over there. And Lunk is an ogre that just wants to learn. He doesn't want to fight. The first quest that he gives you is fairly generic. However, once you return with the items, he gets very upset that you actually killed the golems to get it and runs off. He will then phase, and you have to find him elsewhere in the zone, and then you can try and do a few things with him in order to have a little grand adventure. It's pretty damn awesome, and you should definitely check it out. And with that, it's time for your weekly feature. Yes, indeed, folks, it is Mod Your WoW. Okay, I've got 3 mods to have a look at for you this week, the first of which is pretty old school, honestly. It goes all the way back to vanilla, and it's called Dr. Damage. Dr. Damage is your one-stop shop for stats. If you want to find out exactly how much damage you're doing, bearing in mind your current gear, you can do that very easily. But you can go beyond that. You can check out how much extra damage or DPS you would gain from a different stat, say 1% crit versus 1% hit. You can do comparisons between them on a spell-by-spell basis. You could also do a lot of extrapolations or calculations at the touch of a button without too much issue. You can see how much you can spam a spell before you go out of mana, how mana efficient it is, what the coefficients are, etc, etc. So that is incredibly useful if you're trying to figure out exactly which stats to go for to optimize your character without leaving the game. This next one is very simple and it helps you get out of the fire. It's called GTFO and it will use a number of audio alerts depending on what you're standing in, reminding you to get the hell out of it. So if you become tunnel vision focused on nuking the boss and hammering that DPS button, then you will at least be able to realize that you're standing in something that's not so pleasant. Not exactly essential, but kind of helpful if you're feeling a little bit distracted or perhaps not on the ball when you're raiding. And last but by no means least, we have Auction Lite. Now, Auctioneer is a very comprehensive and actually quite hardcore mod when it comes to processor and memory usage. It can slow the game down quite significantly. It's got a bit more efficient over the years, however, it's still a pretty hefty mod, and a lot of the information in it is actually useless to the majority of users. Auction Lite condenses it all down into something that's very minimal overhead and allows you to gain access to more features and information within the auction house. I really can't see a reason not to use this. It's fantastic. You can see all the features on the screen right now, and all of the download links for these are in the description below this video. And with that, it's time for the mailbox. This one comes in from Thomas, who says, I've been playing WoW since the tail end of vanilla. I remember when you had tier and epic level gear. It meant something that you'd actually worked for it. Starting in TBC and continuing into Wrath of the Lich King, we had vendors with epics and such. Well, I was kind of disheartened when there is no new item rarity level in Cataclysm. I cite this because in general, the Wrath Babies, as you affectionately call them, devalued the worth of acquiring such items. I want to know your take on this. Personally, I think Blizzard should make a rarity level between Legendary and Epic, so it shows that you worked for your gear instead of grinding heroics or doing quick raids to get your points for the day or week. Well, I don't think another tier is necessary. I don't think we need another colour. That is fairly pointless. Hell, we still have a colour that we haven't used yet, which of course is red, the artifact level stuff, which we've never seen hide nor hair of. Whatever the case, I don't think it's necessary because you can just do something even simpler than that. If you're going to have vendor gear that is epic level, but can be acquired by not doing raids or high-end PvP, then it should be blue in every possible scenario. For instance, right now, that's the case. You have to raid, with, of course, the exception of the daily random dungeon quests, which I do absolutely disagree with. They should not even be in the game to actually get epic items. However, with the next tier, that's not going to be the case, because they're bumping everything down, just like they did in Wrath, so you'll be able to acquire the item level 359 stuff with badges that you gain from 5-mans. At that point, in my opinion, they should downgrade every item bought to blue. Yeah? So, if it is epic, and you are wearing it, then it means you either do high-end PvP, or you've crafted something that is worth it, and you've actually put some genuine effort and a lot of money into getting, or you raid. If you get it from a vendor like that and it's been acquired via 5-man content or low-end PvP or indeed a quest reward, then it should not be epic under any circumstances. If you want the differentiation, that's it. And you might think that that's not a major thing, but really it is, because all you're really asking for is recognition, and that's how you'll get it. This one comes in from Sarah, who says, I'm a girl. Really? You called Sarah? Well, you could have had cruel parents, I suppose. I've been playing WoW since Classic, and I believe myself to be quite a good player. As I know my class inside out, research ways to max my DPS continuously, and I'm always trying my best to better my character. Since CAD has come out, I've been raiding with my new guild, but a few times I've been benched in favor of taking other players who don't do as much DPS, don't know tactics in raids, and some are a complete liability. I was listening in on my guild vent last night, hoping to hear they had downed another boss, when I heard the reason I wasn't taken was because they wanted an all-guy raid. A few times over the years of playing WoW, now I've heard comments here and there about girls not being as good at players
as guys in WoW, and while I appreciate in some ways this can be true, I don't think it's fair to tarnish us all with the same brush. What are your thoughts on female WoW players, and do you think there's a certain amount of sexism in WoW? I think there's a whole lot of sexism in WoW. There's a whole lot of sexism in the gaming community in general. It's one of the things I'm most embarrassed about as a gamer. I don't like to be labeled a gamer, especially a male gamer, with my age range, because I fall into the same category as misogynists, racists, and bigots. And yes, they are not the majority, but there is a significant number of them, and they are very loud. Therein lies the problem. The majority is very much a silent majority. We saw examples of it today, in fact, with the StarCraft 2 cast that I put up, and what I had there was an Asian co-commentator for an Asian tournament, shock horror, who was hired to do the tournament, who is a competitive gamer who has won multiple high-level tournaments, is hired as a commentator for high-level Asian events, happens to be female, and of course the sexism and blatantly obscene stuff that was posted on my channel resulted in about 25 people getting banned. Now, I didn't even do this. I heard it from my moderators who said, you have no idea the crazy stuff that's going on here. Gave me some quotes. I'm like, I wish I was surprised by this, and I'm not. I am constantly disappointed and yet constantly not remotely shocked by just how base, crass, ignorant, and stupid gamers can be. In this case, what you've got is a guild that is full of idiots. If I were you, I'd be asking your guild whether or not they'd like to come out of the closet now or later. We want an all-guy raid. Yes, that doesn't sound remotely camp or anything. Oh yes, all-guy raids. We'll shower afterwards. Yes, well, there you go. Find a better guild. I've actually been in guilds with plenty of female members. It's not a problem. It really isn't. It just depends on the attitude of the guild in question and the attitude of the people you're playing with. Some people are just jerks. Avoid them. Or if you feel like it, insult them, troll them. That's what I do. It makes me feel better about myself. But yes, there is a blatant problem there, and I would hope it gets resolved, but I just don't see how that's going to happen, if I'm totally honest. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe in a couple of generations it'll be gone, but it ain't going anywhere anytime soon, so avoid those people and join a guild that actually has some brains. And a bit of maturity for good measure. That's always nice. Righto, folks, I'm done for the day. Thank you very much for watching Azeroth Daily. Remember, please thumb it up if you like it, and thumb it down if you don't. And also, there is one thing I would like to ask you, by the way, and of course, you're not obligated to do this. You should see an option below this video called Add To, and one of those options is Favorites. If you do have a favorite Azeroth Daily episode, I'd ask that you add it to Favorites. And why? Well, it actually helps me out in the ranking an awful lot. Being totally open and honest here, again, completely optional, you don't have to do it if you don't want it, but if you do want to help the show out, then adding to Favorites really does help. Thanks a lot, guys, and I will see you next time.